What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be upgrading the tail lights and backup light bulbs on my 1989 4Runner with these AUXITO brand brake light bulbs and backup light bulbs. So why am I putting these LED bulbs in my first gen 4Runner? Well, apart from modernization, longevity of the bulb, brightness, and overall just looking cool, the number one reason is safety, to be seen. Nice bright tail lights and backup lights, people see you, better visibility, they work quicker, so on and so forth. We'll get into detail on that later, but let's get started with this install now. So apart from these fancy AUXITO bulbs, what else are we going to need for this project? Dielectric grease is your best friend in marine and automotive applications when it comes to electronics. We're going to spread a thin layer of this on the bulbs and around the seal to prevent future leaks. Phillips screwdriver. I've got this electric one. You don't have to have an electric one, but it's nice to have. This is a AUXITO brand, but you will need a Phillips screwdriver to remove the lens and taillight assembly. Let's get started. First things first, these two upper screws are just there to hold the lens on. So when you remove these screws, you will notice that they are short. Make sure you return the short screws back to their home. Don't put long screws into the short screw holes or you will break your taillight housing. When you remove the final screw, make sure you kind of have your hand on the lens. Just have your hand on the tail light in general because the lens could fall off onto the ground. If you want to prevent that from happening, leave the two upper screws in place until you get the tail light out of its hole. Carefully drop out that last screw, and there's a small connection on the back side here. Push down the clip and slide it out. Sometimes these seals are a little sticky. Just make sure you don't tear the seal from the actual housing because you're going to need to reuse that. If you tear it, you're going to have to find something that can work. They probably sell something like that online, but ultimately just be careful with that seal. If you see it's gripping on there, just try to pull it off gently as you go around. This is an aftermarket tail light. I'm sure of it because it doesn't say Toyota, and it just looks like it's a remake. Got your amber bulb up top, got your backup light bulb right below that. You've got your brake light and tail light bulb right below that one. And this little tiny guy in the bottom left-hand corner is your marker bulb. So to remove these bulbs, you're gonna push straight in and turn to the left. Keep your hand on it, it comes right out. There's a spring inside of the actual connection that makes sure that that bulb doesn't come out. This is an 1156, and we're going to replace it with a white 1156 from AUXITO. Next bulb we have below is the brake light tail light bulb. The way you can tell it's brake light tail light bulb obviously is its position that it was in, but because it has two different filaments, you've got your running light filament and your brake light filament, both cause and create two different brightnesses. Same deal, push in, rotate to the left. That is an 1157 bulb. If you're ever unsure, it is printed on the side of the bulb here. In some cases on the taillight housing it'll say what size bulb goes where. This one says 1157 at the bottom, 1156, 1156, and a 168 for the marker. This is an aftermarket housing. I don't know how the Toyota housings are or whichever housing you may have will look like, but it's kind of nice that that's on there, to be honest. I want to start with the brake light bulb because these things look incredible. I've never seen a bulb with this many LEDs on it. It looks almost alien. It looks like something out of a spaceship. It's pretty neat, but get a good shot of that. It's got tons of LEDs on it, as well as some inside of this diffuser lens. It's like a glass lens on the top. If you look inside, you can see roughly maybe 12 LEDs inside of the face of that, and that'll help spread that light out when you press the brake pedal, essentially. I'm really excited to see what these look like at night. These look so cool. So we have our new bulbs and we have our dielectric grease, and we go to apply that stuff. We're basically just applying it to the contact, just a light application just like that, just enough to prevent any kind of moisture or contaminants from getting in there and shortening the life of the bulb. Make sure you don't grip or mess up the exposed LEDs. It's important to note that LEDs are polarity specific. So if you ever put an LED or wire up an LED or anything like that and you turn it on and for some reason it's not lighting up, make sure you check the polarity, make sure the polarity is right. In instances like this, these bulbs have two pins. They have a pin here and a pin here. These are like basically a guide pin that goes inside of the actual housing or the socket of the bulb and prevents you from installing them in the wrong polarity essentially, but also keeps everything locked in place. See, I can't physically twist it in the wrong polarity to rotate it 180 degrees and it goes in place. Probably kind of hard to see because it's like a mirror, but there it is right there. It's good, doesn't stick out too far. One thing to note as well, if you're installing new bulbs, especially headlight bulbs in factory housings, make sure the bulb isn't so big that it doesn't fit in the actual housing. Because once I put this lens on, if that bulb was sticking out this far or it was giant, make sure you keep that in mind. If you go to install a bulb in the headlight or tail light, it feels like it's hitting something, just stop. Chances are that whoever manufactured that either didn't manufacture it correctly, or it's just the wrong bulb for the application. This is the backup light bulb. This is typically one of my first modifications on any vehicle, is putting LED bulbs in the backup light bulb location, just because it's so common to think like, okay, the backup light bulb, big deal, I'm in a parking lot, people see my white lights light up, they know I'm backing out, that's great. But the other thing is, if you're in a location like I am where there's not a lot of street lights, the backup light bulb can generate a lot of light and really like shine out behind you and give you some sort of idea of what's behind you. Instead of it just being an indicator bulb, you can make it do some work with an LED. One thing I will note, when installing these LED bulbs, any LED bulb in general, there's a lot of exposed LEDs and a lot of exposed flexible circuitry that is on the outside of the bulb that is exposed. They do that along with aluminum to help dissipate heat. Now, I say dissipate heat, incandescent bulbs generate a lot of heat and a lot more heat than LED bulbs generate typically. When that happens, that heat is constantly being generated, it does shorten the life of the housing of the tail light. With the lens, all that heat constantly in there, both from the sun and from the actual bulbs, just shortens the life of the actual tail light. So going to LED can prolong the life of your tail lights and headlights. Once you've ensured that your bulbs are actually fully installed and locked in place, it should look something like this. Now my plan is to install just bulbs on one side of the truck, and then tonight we're going to do a side-by-side comparison as well as a slow-mo video of how much quicker LED bulbs will light up versus incandescent bulbs, and every millisecond counts when you're in traffic, especially when you got your family in the vehicle. Huge, huge bonus of LED taillights. So when reinstalling your taillight lens onto the actual housing, make sure that this rubber seal is fully seated in place. The last thing you want is water getting inside of this housing and causing this taillight to fail. If for some reason that seal isn't sitting in place, you can do a few things. You can put a little bit of dielectric grease on the back side of the seal, kind of give it a little bit of stickiness so that it holds in place while you're installing the actual lens. A dot of super glue in a few locations, which I try to stick away from because it can dry the seal out, or a little bit of silicone sealant, RTV sealant, just a few dots of that. You don't want to use a lot because it could squish out and affect the appearance of your tail light. Reinstall the lens in the same way, make sure the seal is seated in place, and we can go ahead and install those first two screws up top. Hold the lens to the housing, snug those up, and we're going to reconnect our connector. Make sure we're not pinching any wires. Start putting our screws back in place. I like to give them a couple of turns by hand if you can. Certain spots, feel it grip into that plastic nut. Make sure they're snug, but you don't want to go too tight because you could crack the housing. Just go around and give everything a little snug up. And there you have it. The tail light is installed. Now you're going to do the same thing on the other side, typically if you're doing this project at home, but just for comparison's sake, I'm doing one side now. I'm going to check the performance at night so you guys can really see the difference, as well as the slow-mo video so you can see how much quicker these bulbs really can be. Let's do a quick comparison from left to right. The left side has the LED backlight bulb in it, and the right side has a standard incandescent backup light bulb. Even in the daytime, you can tell a huge difference, massive difference from left to right. That LED backup light bulb is going to pay off huge, especially in backing up in dark areas. Here is the running light comparison from left to right. Pretty noticeable difference there even in the daytime. And I'm going to apply the brake now. Should be a pretty massive difference in performance from left to right, even in the daytime. But I'm really excited to see what this looks like at night. What's up, guys? So I was gonna film last night, but I ate too much and I fell asleep. So tonight we are going to back the truck out into the darkness. I'm gonna cut some lights off. We're gonna get a comparison. The left side to the right, LED versus incandescent, the true and final matchup, as well as a slow-mo video. So let's get started. Okay, just a little foreground lighting for some ambiance. Okay, just like last time, backup lights first. Here are the backup lights, LED versus incandescent. Bro, that is insane. Look at the difference. Can you see the other side? Look at that. This is actually like lighting up my whole driveway. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Look at that. That is badass. And that is just one bulb. Imagine what two is gonna look like. Next up, running lights and brake lights. Here are the running lights. Engage. And brake lights. Huge difference. I can see it from all the way up here in the driver's seat. That's crazy. If you can't see those damn things, I'm sorry about that, brother. That is great. I think it's time for a slow-mo video. Let's see if you can catch the timing difference between incandescent and LED bulbs in slow-mo. So prior to recording this terrible, blurry slow-mo video, you could actually see in real time the timing difference between the incandescent and LED bulbs. But in this, you can really see it. It really shines a light on how much quicker LEDs truly are. And watch that incandescent bulb just bleed out slowly. I thought that part was pretty cool. You know, honestly, I knew it was gonna be a little bit of a difference. I did not expect it to be that drastic. That is wild. That blew my mind. The timing difference between LED and incandescent bulbs. There really is a drastic amount of time between activation and deactivation. As you saw, the incandescent bulbs just slowly bleed out. That's really cool. LEDs are the future and always have been. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you don't mind, I really got to get back to installing the bulbs on the passenger side so I can take this thing out for a spin tonight. I am super stoked on this upgrade. If you want your own AUXITO bulbs, go down in the description below, get 10% off. Thank you so much for watching. This is Degreeless Engineering, a channel where we engineer using experience. Later. I gotta show my wife. This is wild. What do you think about the new lights? Do you think they're nice and bright?
Yeah.
Say thanks, AUXITO.
Thanks, AUXITO.
Good job.